I think it would be
there we go. We see a little
in our best interest. I want to thank the 6 to 9 folks who have tuned in already and have bared with the technical difficulties. I'm just gonna send a chat to confirm that you can hear me. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
If you want, we can go over the questions again.
Yeah. Well, we can briefly go through that. Yeah. I would, since we didn't hear anything, I would introduce yourself again.
Okay.
And then you guys would definitely get to know us better throughout the next.
Okay. So my name is Hipolita. I am from class 19. My track was project management. I did my internship at JP Morgan, where I got hired after my internship, and is where I'm currently working at.
And then my name is Ophelia Hurd. I'm also a class 19 alumna. My internship was at UVS. Shortly after my internship, I began working with BNP Paribas.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Manny. I am from class 22. My track was AML, and I interned at JP Morgan Chase.
So hello everyone, my name is Adama. I'm also class 22, intern at JP Morgan Chase. I was in the business management track at BMCC.
Want to take us away?
Yep, for sure. All right, so obviously we're here for the home buying and stuff like that. Something that you've been through and experienced, and something you could teach us. What is the process like? So what kind of made you feel like you was ready to buy a house? You know, what gave you that thought process it was time to buy the house already?
So I was saying before that it took time for me and preparation, education, for me to get there. When I started Europe, I wanted to buy an apartment after after I got hired and all of that. And one of the reasons why it's good to repeat. One of the reasons was because when I was younger, I didn't have, like an income to prove landlords that I could pay an apartment. I have a 6-year-old and I needed to move out of my mom's house, and no landlord wanted to rent to me. And I'm like, I'm tired of this. I want to own my own place. Like, I don't want to have to go out there and compete for apartments. I just want to own my own thing. So so that was my goal. I made my vision board that at the end of the internship, if I get hired, I want to buy an apartment and all of that. After everything happened, I got hired. I said, why buy an apartment when I can buy a house? So I started preparing for that. I said, I am going to save as much as I can now that I'm living with my mom. I'm going to make that sacrifice, and I'm going to work on my credit for 2 years, which is enough time to either work on your credit that's not good or build up your credit. I work on my credit. I save up money. I was telling them that I was saving $1,000 a month, which makes up to $24,000 in 2 years, which that was the kind of money that I knew I needed to start. So after the 2 years, I had my credit improved. I didn't have any debt because I knew I couldn't get into debt. I said, I'm not gonna buy a car even though I can. I could afford a car and many other things, but I said, I need a house. I want a house. So that was my priority. I didn't get into any debt. I save up. I was focused. So after the 2 years, I had money in my savings. My credit was better, and I had some type of knowledge of how buying a house worked.
I definitely take from that when you want to go on to this journey, like it's a journey nonetheless. You can't wake up really one day and say, I want to buy a house. No. Let's see what's on the market and can close next week or next month. No. It's more like you have to set like a game plan and a project plan for.
Yeah. So all right, so 2018 came, we said it was time, right?
Yes.
What are some of the factors you have to consider as you're trying to take this process on, like either budgeting, salary, how to balance everything out, but even time that you got to commit to look for that home that you want, your dream home or stuff?
Well, things that you have to, what do you mean? And at what point? Like when you start looking for the house already?
Yeah, but when you're already ready to make the decision, like what are some factors you got to consider?
So Factors you need to consider. Well, the first step is you cannot go on Trulia and Zillow and say, oh, I think I qualify for this house. I think I want this house. It doesn't work like that. You might think you qualify for a house that costs $300,000, and it might not be like that. The first step you need to do is go get your analysis from a mortgage representative. They will go over your credit, your income, and your debts, your bills, and they will give you a letter that says this is what you might qualify for. So, with that letter, you can start looking, and what is your range. And no realtor will want to work with you if you don't have that letter.
So how do you get a mortgage specialist? Who's that through?
So a mortgage representative, you can get that at any bank, but of course, I am gonna recommend the person that helped me because her name is Claudia Villamar. She helped me in many ways. She gave me like programs that a lot of banks don't have. For example, I bought a 2-family home, and I told her like I want to live and rent. So she helped me find a program that I could put down 5% instead of 20%, like most banks are asking for. So she kind of like walked me through the process from beginning to end and after, because I still call her for problems. Like, hey, there's something going on, and she goes on with me. This lady is like, she's the best. Like, I'll call her at 11 o'clock at night. Hey, I need an offer letter right now. Like, I need to submit this, because you have to be aggressive. I'm telling you. Like, some people don't understand that sometimes you have to have someone there. So, if you guys want her information, we can share that.
Yeah.
You can go with she doesn't charge anything. You can go there just to get an analysis of your situation right now. Even if you're not ready, she will let you know what you need. Even if you need to clean up, your credit, she'll let you know, hey, work on your credit, or you need to improve your income, or whatever you need. Get rid of some debts. She will let you know.
So in that process, what resources did you use that allow you to like figure out what kind of home or like what steps you need to take, or like the checklist that you need to make in order for you to get a home? Like, what was the resources that you use in order for you to realize what house?
I learned in the process. Like I'm telling you, I went into Trulia and I'm like, oh, this house looks nice. I'm gonna call this realtor and I'm gonna tell him, hey, show me this house.
True.
He told me, hey, do you have an offer letter? No, I don't. Then you have to go get that. And then I went and I said, who can I go to? I don't know. So asking around, somebody recommended me Claudia. So I went to Claudia. After I went to Claudia, she gave me offer letter. I went somewhere else. So to kind of like get different offers.
Yeah.
And then from there, she helped me. She told me, okay, the next step is to get a realtor. This is the person that I recommend. Like,
True.
It goes down the chain.
Yeah.
Like, you are not gonna know everything, but knowing the right person, they can guide you into. The first thing you need to get is the mortgage representative, then the realtor, then the lawyer. No, then the inspector, and so on, lawyer. It goes like in the process, so you don't have to have everything right there.
So, as you mentioned, you said you just can't go on Zillow or Trulia and be like, okay, I want this $300,000 home. Some factors you gotta manage. So, such as like, for example, let's say salary, you make like $50K a year, and then 30% is for the mortgage. How will you be able to balance and know what kind of market you gotta keep yourself in for you could kind of keep your finance needs?
Well, the first thing you need to know is what kind of home you want. Do you want a home to live, just to have a beautiful home, have your family there, and just own a house? Or you want a house to make business? You have to know there's difference. If you want a house just for you, you're not gonna rent it, it's just for you. You need to make sure that your income can cover 45% of the mortgage payment for the house. A month. You have to make more than
45% of your
Okay.
monthly mortgage.
Let me see, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So your mortgage payment cannot exceed more than 45% of your total income in a month. And that, like I said, there's no magic number in this. It all comes down to your debt to income ratio and your credit. It all comes to that. Like you will never know what you qualify for until you go and find out. So
And I think that's a really important point, that there's no magic number and there's no limitation. You can't say, well, I only have such a salary, and it's really it bars you from buying a home. It's really more, where are you looking? And
yes.
really, if you look at the amount of money you bring in a month, do you really want to spend more than 50% of that on just your mortgage alone? So when the numbers work out and you realize that it's going to be 45% or possibly even less, then that gives you a range of what you can look into, right?
Yeah, and also like no bank is going to lend you the money if they know that you're going to be up to here. They are going to make sure you can pay this, and that is important to go. That is why it's important to go to a good mortgage representative. And by the way, the most important person in your team is your mortgage representative, because this person is going to make sure that you don't lose your house, basically. Because if you go to just any person, they'll be like, oh yeah, we'll lend you the money. Yes, yeah, you can pay this house. And then 3 months later, you're like, oh shoot, something happened. I'm underwater.
Yeah.
And then that's why like you need to go to someone that you can trust, because you don't just want the bank to lend you money when you know you can. So.
And if you have any question, guys, you can just put it down in the comment section, and we can go over it later.
Yeah.
So a question that Bilal from class 19 asked was, how do you avoid the scams?
Scams?
Yeah, once you're going through that process of looking for a home and like go through the whole checklist and be like, I have all this down. Now, how do you avoid being scammed of like getting a house?
So I'm gonna reread the question because I want to make sure that I get through every point of this question. So he said, what is the best way to avoid getting caught in a bad deal?
Sure.
Well, in my opinion, a bad deal is buying a house that is gonna break in maybe 5 months after buying it. Like, oh, you bought a house that is not good enough, like it's not, the structure is bad. Or you buying a house it depends. If it's for business, you have to make sure that the numbers make sense. That at the end of the month, you're going to have your cash flow, or you're going to have enough to pay for everything. So, doing the numbers, okay, the mortgage for this house is going to be $2,000. I need to save at least something for anything in the future. And I want some money for me. I want $100 every month. So making sure that those numbers make sense. That you get rid of the bad deal situation. Sure. And if the house is gonna break, well, you need to hire professionals. You need to hire inspector professional to go in the house and make sure that the house is in good condition to buy. And also hire a lawyer that's going to advocate for you, that's going to make sure that there's no past due taxes that's going to fall over your responsibility later on. Make sure that this house, the owner is saying the truth about this house. All of that is important. So hiring the right people, although it's going to be maybe $600, $700 for an inspection, and probably $1,000 to $2,000. I don't know how much lawyer it costs right nowadays, but it's worth it. It's worth it because you don't want to get into a bad deal blindfolded.
And I think while we're still on the point of the people you have in your team to protect you, like you just mentioned, like having lawyers that can protect you from scams as well, or a lawyer that will follow you from the beginning of the deal to the close of it. To go back on your point to your mortgage representative, we did get a really interesting question from Saki in the YouTube live. The gist of it seems to be, because this person is collecting commission, and I think that's the case with not only your mortgage representative, but also your broker if you're using one, and even the lawyer that you would have to pay for the process. How do you give so much trust and rely on that person? And how do you compare them to, like you had spoke about earlier, to those who will say, yeah, of course you can own this home, of course you can get approved. How did you choose her compared to others?
Well, the first thing is recommendation is the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody that I know used her, everything went well. She recommended me, I went to her, and only for that, I really trust her.
Yeah.
You know, because somebody that I know that I trust recommended her to me.
Right.
But then, before you even close, they give you a breakdown of everything. What are they doing with the money? How much is going for the actual down payment of the house, and how much is going for each fees that comes into the closing.
Right.
And you know, you can really avoid any like hidden fees because you're not a mortgage expert to know exactly what is everything. But you know, everybody in your team is working, so they need to get paid.
Yeah.
So you can't be so focused on, you know, like, what is my money going for? You know, they're gonna give you a breakdown. You can do your research.
Yeah.
Okay, what is this? How much does this cost? You know, you have to be engaged with everything.
And also going back to that point, I think having a lawyer on your team is also going to help you with that breakdown, and then they could probably point something out that doesn't look right and stuff like that. So I think that's, I guess it is very important to have like a lawyer or two or something.
Also,
You only need one lawyer, by the way.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
a team of lawyers, you're buying a whole housing complex.
A whole firm.
Yeah. So, well, for the last few minutes, we've been talking about, you know, how to prepare for looking for a home, you know, how to set up basically a team. And then you have all this together, and now you're shopping, now you're excited. You know, now you have your offer letters for the things that you seem interested in. But I guess to yourself personally, to Kira's question, where'd you know to look? How did you
That's a
choose your
good question.
location?
So I knew I wanted to look in New Jersey because I worked there, and because it's the Garden State, and I want to live in the Garden State. But I didn't want to live in New York anymore. So I didn't know much about New Jersey because I don't have anybody there. But asking around, like people at my job, like, hey, where do you live? How are things around there? And looking up, and like Trulia and Zillow were my best friends during those times. I looked to see how many, for example, in my case, I was looking for 2 family homes. How many family homes are around that area for sale? If I see a lot, that's good. If I don't see too much, probably not too good, because that means not a lot of people look to rent in that area. I'll look for what kind of businesses are around. Are there a lot of businesses? Are there good schools? How far are trains from that area? Because I want my tenants to be able to go to the city, and I want to be able to offer a lot to my tenants. So the areas that had all the things that I needed were good areas to me. And one thing that I learned during the process, I bought in Elizabeth, New Jersey. A lot of people don't think Elizabeth is the best city, but it's a city. One, I bought in a really good area in Elizabeth. I'd rather buy in a not so good town, but the best area in that town, than to buy in a good town, the worst area in that town, the area that nobody wants to live in that town. So, you know, I would look in Nutley, for example. Nutley has a good reputation, but when I see the statistics of how many Hispanic, how many white, how many black, I see way more Caucasian than Hispanic. That is a no for me because I am Hispanic and I want to live around Hispanic people and around, you know, my culture. Also, I'll see that the areas that were not so good were the ones that I could afford. And I was like, no, I don't think I'm gonna go there. Just for the fun of saying, oh, I bought in Nutley. Yeah, but you bought in Nutley, the worst area in Nutley. Yeah. So yeah, I bought in Elizabeth, but everybody wants to live in the area that I bought. Yeah. You know, so
right. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I guess also to the second part of Kara's question, like I guess identifying upcoming cities, and I think that's interesting too. I think to identify upcoming cities, it's really where larger companies are opening, and that's why New Jersey was so attractive to you because all the major companies, all of Europe's corporate partners, a majority of them rather have like space in Jersey City, and so that attracts a crowd.
Definitely. Also, that's a good point. Doing your research is key when it comes to location. You want to know what's going on in the area. If there's a new mall opening in 2 years, that's probably the best area to invest. Yeah. Because your property is going to go up, and you know. So just doing your research to know, like, what are you looking for? You know, you have to know what are you looking for. It's up to the person. So for me, I told you what I was looking for. So.
And I see some great dialogue going on in the chat section. To Kira's second question, we'll pose it to you, Hipolita, but you gave an exact number of how much you were able to save up and put down. But to Sagi's point, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but it really does depend on how much you want to put down, right?
Yeah, well, yes, it depends on how much you want to put down, but honestly, how much do you have? Because I put down 5%, and that was like 30,000.
Yeah, and then if
30,000, that's adding like all the costs, like lawyer and.
Okay.
But I said 24,000. I saved up to 24,000 up to the moment I decided, but then I kept saving more. Yeah, of course. Because it took me like 4 months to close, so I kind of had more into my saving during that time. Because it's not only the down payment, you have to also think about the closing cost and everything involved.
That's actually a great transition because when we were thinking about that, we were thinking about, okay, you found the home, you realize you want to live in Elizabeth or maybe not Nutley, maybe Nutley. But then, okay, you have your offer letter from your mortgage specialist, your lawyer say, okay, this seems like a great prospect. Maybe you can go into some unexpected costs associated with buying the home, and maybe some things that folks just don't think they would have to do before they can close.
Well, for me, it was a smooth process because when I met Claudia, she went over everything with me. She told me, do you have money for this? Be prepared to pay this just in case. Like, she kind of like educated me in what was going to happen. So she made sure that nothing came up that I wasn't ready for. But I'll say what, let me see.
So fortunately, you didn't have unexpected costs, but maybe costs that won't seem too intuitive to someone who's just thinking about buying a home. Because I know myself personally, when I think of buying a home, because I'm just not quite there yet, I think of just the mortgage and the down payment.
Okay.
So I think other expenses other than that, other than your team and the mortgage and down payment, is there maybe the cost of inspection?
So the inspection, yes. You also need to pay for what's it called? An appreciation. No, not appreciation. No. The person that goes to appreciate. Is it appreciate? No, that's not the word. The person that goes to make sure that the house the appraiser. I'm like, what is the name? So the appraiser, yes, that was like $1,000.
So let's see if we can keep up. I think that's a challenge. So you have an appraiser.
Yes. You have to pay for the appraiser, you have to pay for the inspection, you have to pay for someone, all kind of fees, I'm telling you. Someone to come measure the house around. That was like, probably like, I don't remember, like 300 or more. I don't know. Everything was high
Okay.
fees.
Sure.
So
There's no $10 fee.
no.
Yeah,
What
so-
is $10? But there's a lot of stuff.
And so I guess when incorporating that into your into the money that you were going to put down, like when you went into this home buying process and you noticed before you can even close on the house, you had all these expenses here and there, and you really started getting a good picture of the numbers. If you could for us, I guess round off, not the total amount you spent, but I guess how much more of a surprise it was than what you were saving up for. Because were you
Well-
saving up for those before you met for the mortgage specialist?
Well, no, because you know what? I didn't know how much I qualified for.
Yeah.
So I said, for a down payment, I thought I needed 20,000 for a down payment. But it all depends on how much is the house that you want.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I had to go for a co-borrower that will help me
Yeah,
boost my my income. And I do recommend everybody to have someone like that you can trust, because that will open so many doors. For me, I had someone that did it, like he joined with me, and that is for the first 1 or 2 years. Then I will what's it called? I will refinance, because now I can prove that I can afford this
Right.
house. But I got lost. You asked me.
Yeah, so I guess those costs were unexpected, but it seems like once you realize how much you're approved for from the bank, then those costs become more bearable.
Okay, so yeah, so when I met with Claudia, she told me it's gonna be this much down payment, but you're gonna need at least this much for closing.
Yeah.
And then I made sure that I save up that much. So if at the end of the day it's more than that, I was gonna tell her, like, I don't have any more. You told me
Yeah.
you told me that much. She said save up to that much so you can have enough,
Okay.
just in case. So it might not.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I had enough, because she told me, like, you're gonna need this much more
Yeah.
ahead of time. So that went well.
Perfect, yeah.
And we touched on one of those expenses, which is your inspector. And we did get another question. I think we had spoke about this earlier too. When you have an inspector, and let's say what do they provide? What are you getting for your money's worth? And then the question specifically asks if there's any negotiation that can be made after the inspection.
Yes. So in my case, the house that I got was a really good house. It was an old house from the 1950s. But this house was like good, like the foundation was good. It was well taken care of. This inspector came in, he checked on the beams, the main beams of the house, made sure that it was like strong enough that will hold the house for many more years to come. He checked on the roof, because those are big expenses.
Yeah.
The roof was good. He checked on the boilers, make sure that they are working fine, and that he also gave me like a life expectancy, like of how much
Estimation, yeah.
longer
Sure.
is going to be alive, so I can prepare for future costs.
Yeah.
He also found asbestos on one of the beams, so I was able to negotiate that. There was not much negotiation because the house was in good condition, and it was like in a hot market. You also have to consider that, like, if there's a good house in a hot market, a lot of people are gonna want it.
True.
So you have to think about that. be careful with your negotiation. Make sure that the negotiation you are making are fair negotiation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a broken window, and there was asbestos. So I said, hey, I told my lawyer to tell her lawyer to fix the asbestos, because I wasn't gonna buy the house that has asbestos, and also to fix the broken window, just because I wanted to be petty and be like, fix the window, whatever. I want you to do something. But the house is in good condition. Like I didn't have to negotiate much. I negotiated $10,000 of the price.
Yeah.
That was
Well, that's a
That
lot.
was damn.
I mean-
I thought you said much like $100.
no, because there's always room for negotiation.
Yeah.
There's always room for negotiation. Just you have to be careful how much of
Yeah.
negotiation you do, because even when someone puts in the house for sale, they know there's gonna be some type of negotiation. Even like 5,000, anything you can get out, but just be mindful, because if it's a good house, it's a good house.
And I think it's also worth mentioning, if your inspector does find anything that needs to be fixed in the home, that your lawyers will talk to the homeowner's lawyers, and then they can provide proof that was either provide proof of that was fixed, or if you want to take on the liability, maybe that can be negotiated into the price.
So my lawyer makes sure that document is legit.
Yeah,
The one that they offer,
Okay.
that they provided after the treatment was done. And also, I was gonna say something. I forgot. But yeah.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And so now your inspection's done, right?
Yes.
Now you're like, okay, everything's fixed. Now you're ready to close. Now that you're ready to close, what you have all the costs settled, and I guess now that you're ready to move in, I know you personally, you always brought the home with the expectation of renting it out, and being a landlord. So I guess moving into maybe your next phase of home owning, and now being a business owner, being a landlord, basically an entrepreneur. How did you protect yourself as an entrepreneur when you were looking to rent to people, making sure that I guess monies that were owed to you are being paid on time, and just making sure that you can vet the potential people who will live in your unit?
Well, I'm sure you guys have been to a apartment interview where they get all your paperwork. They verify your employer. I made sure that I did that for the first, because I have 2 apartments. I'm renting 2 apartments. So for the first one, I did it myself. I did everything. I asked for proof of income, proof of credit. I made sure that I asked for a decent credit. I call the employer, I verify everybody. I check on their background, make sure that they're not criminals. Make sure they make enough money to pay the rent. I said you have to make 4 times the rent in a month, and as a family, everybody, to be able to afford this apartment. And like that, I cover myself. And also, in my case, I didn't want to rent to small children's, because that was just my preference. Because it's just, for me as a new landlord, I didn't want to have to deal with like eviction of children's and all of that. I didn't want to deal with that, so I went towards adults only or big kids.
Okay.
In my case, because an eviction of kids can take up to more than 3 months, and if you start an eviction, they're not gonna pay rent for some time. So yeah.
And so that's what you did for your first unit. Did you try
And then for
something
the
different?
second unit, since I have a full-time job, I didn't have time to be picking up phone calls all day, because they literally call all day. I went towards a realtor, and I said, here's the apartment, here are the keys, you let me know. Whenever you have a good tenant, I told him what I wanted. So he went with that.
And so I guess So you pay really to lift the burden off of your shoulders to know that that process would be in someone else's hands,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so I guess how was it working with a realtor? I mean, because now you're on the other side. Now first you were looking, now you're the offeree, right? So I guess when working with a realtor, were there any challenges with that?
No challenges. The only thing is that you have to be more flexible about the down payment or the security amount, because the tenants has to pay for the realtor. So there's that cost that you're going to not have. And for this second tenant, I only asked for 1 month of security deposit. For the other one, I asked for 2 months.
Okay.
Just because this one, I let the tenant pay the realtor instead of coming out of my pocket.
Yeah, so I guess while you were renting out your units, you even touched on it already. There were
There's a question. Please feel free to bypass it to personal. Did you purchase a duplex and are you currently living in it? For your other properties, are they taken care of by a property manager? I only have one property, and it is a duplex, and I am living in it. I fixed the attic. I made it like what's it called, studio apartment for me, because it's just me and my son. And then I rented the 2 other units.
perfect. And so
And I don't have a property manager.
Yeah.
Right now, I am the manager.
right now you're the property manager. And then I guess you're a property manager. That's
Yeah.
like it's not just your day job, it's plus that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a really good question here that I wanted to touch on because it was very interesting by Terrell. I don't know if you know, but he said, I am hoping to be more involved with real estate from a homeowner perspective as someone who manages properties. What is the most important thing someone should know as they begin their real estate journey? And I went into this question because this is very important. When you're getting into real estate, you have to know what kind of business you want to do. Real estate there's many ways to do real estate. I decided to do buy, hold, and rent. But there's other types of real estate, like flipping houses, buying and selling. There's different types. I decided to do rental, and I focus on that. I learned how it works. I learned the business. Like you have to know, if you're going to focus on the rental business, you have to learn like what is the best kind of rental properties to buy. What are some issues that you can run into by tenants? Like those kind of things that you want to focus. If you focus on real estate as a whole, you are going to be lost because there's so much to learn. You have to be passionate about any type of business in real estate that you decide to do. You have to be passionate because real estate is not an easy business. It can compensate, but it takes time.
Sure.
Like it takes time and it takes a lot of effort. So you have to really be passionate about it, and you have to learn the math on how to get good deals. And for me, I had a plan since the beginning. Since I started, by the way, I know we
have about 10 minutes left, and this is a perfect portion for the Q&A.
Okay, so when in the process of getting this house from February to June, I read this book. It's called The Book on Rental Properties Investing by Brandon Turner. I became his #1 fan. Like I was on this book, and I'm not the reader. I hate reading, but this book, I was so into this book. I learned so much from this book, and that made me came up with a plan for myself. I want to retire when I'm like 35, from 35 to 40. I don't want to work my whole life.
Sure.
Seriously, like I don't want to work my whole life. I love what I do at my job, but it's something that I don't want to do for the rest of my life. So getting into real estate can give me that freedom. So I made a plan for myself. This is my first house. You know, I'm learning how it works. I'm learning how tenants work. So this is my first year. I haven't made a year yet. I'm learning how to the construction and hiring a contractor, all of that. Like I'm making my team kind of thing.
Building skills.
Building skills, learning, and this is not going to be my only house. I am going to buy more houses, and I'm preparing for that. Right now, I'm just recovering from the huge investment that I did, just waiting for those taxes to come, because I had to borrow money even after I bought the house. I had to go for a loan because I wanted to do some repair. Like I wanted to finish the attic, and that was like a lot of money. So I went for a loan, and now I owe that money, and I have to clean all my debt in order for me to start again. So I'm recovering. But my goal is to have a $10,000 monthly income. I can live with that. I think that's enough.
More than enough.
Right? That's enough.
Yeah.
So I need 5 properties that can make me $2,000 each. And that's feasible, guys. Like that's not hard. From right now, I am getting 3,700 for income, not income, comes in. That pays for my mortgage, that leaves some money in my account, and I live for free. What else do I need? And if I rent, I have a basement and I have an attic. If I happen to like just move out, I rent my basement it goes for like, let's say 600 to be safe. It goes for more, but just to be safe. Plus 1,200. I get 5,500 a month.
That's what,
Minus my mortgage payment, I get 2,000 to 2,100 a month. Clean cash flow for me. So I just need 4 more properties like that to be financially independent. Like just free from having to work. So that is my plan, and I just focus on that plan and I go forward with that.
And so we have two questions also in the chat. I think the first one that we didn't yet cover was when managing your tenants and then living on the same property with them, how do you keep a good relationship with them? I think that's it.
You know what? I think
that's a good question.
In that case, I'm gonna give all the glory to God, because my tenants are amazing. Like these people I don't even feel like I live with anybody. They just there. I don't see them. I don't have any problems with them. I don't even have to collect rent for them. I try to have the least interaction with them, because you don't want to be like friends with them.
You don't want to build friendship,
You don't want to be friends. You want to be cool with them. You want to be nice to them. You want them to like you, but you don't want to be too friends.
So then they think they can skip a month.
Because you don't want that. No, you don't want to build a relationship with them.
Yeah.
So the first time I saw them, I liked them, and we went ahead. I make sure that they are depositing that rent the first of the month, and I give them until the 5th. After the 5th, I charge a fee, because I have up to the 15th to pay my mortgage, and I'm not gonna risk it.
Yeah, no, of course.
So I don't see them. The 1st, I go. I mean, not the 1st. I go on the 5th on the account.
Yeah,
the money's there. Transfer the money to my the mortgage. Done. I don't have to worry about anything. The only thing I have to worry is if something breaks, they'll call me. If something, like the other day, the boilers were not working, so I had to get them working for them, because they are responsible tenants.
Yeah.
But that's not always gonna be the case. It's only been like 7 months or 6 months ever since I got them. I can't say it's going to always be perfect, but so far it's good. And God sent me great tenants.
I think it's like giving them their personal space.
Yes.
really, and the least visible you are, the more at home they feel and like relaxed. And then and then they know the business. It's like it's pay by the day.
Oh no, sometimes they see me, they think I'm a little girl that don't know what she's doing, but I'd be like, I got you. If you break anything, don't worry, I'll fix it.
You're like, the boiler, I'm not sure.
No, I don't know about that, but I'll get them fixed by 12 noon. About 12 midnight.
Perfect.
But they can just heat up some water in the stove. So.
I don't want to do that because I don't want them to be like that with my payment.
Okay.
So I'm very responsible with anything that they need because I need them to be responsible.
And then I think another question as well is, I guess more technical. It says you mentioned that one tenant could pay 1 month rent as a deposit, but another was 2 months worth. If they found out, or if they had found out, that I guess one was covering more than the other, should they pay utilities? So how do you decide if your tenant should pay utilities?
I put the rules I want. It's my house.
Yeah.
If they can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I am not the one needing a place to live. So I know my place. So I put the rules I want to put. And I have different rules for both of them. One lives in the first floor, the other one lives in the second floor. There's different apartments. So they do pay utilities. I did it like that because it's my choice. Like I get to choose.
And also, to your defense, not saying that you need one. It's just you said that one of them was to a realtor. So if you kind of add up the money they wasted, they
pay the same thing. They pay the same thing.
They pay
the same thing.
And then I think we could squeeze in 2 more questions. We actually have some questions from our LinkedIn page, which is pretty exciting.
Are they tuning in?
I'm not sure if they're tuned in. I didn't see any chats from them, but I do think they're pretty worthy questions as well. This person had a few. T. Lynn Washington. She works for a corporate partner of ours, so I always think it's great to shout out to Europe's corporate partners. A lot of her questions you had already touched on, but I think one that we can touch on briefly is, you said you live in the state of New Jersey, but I guess, are there any laws or additional fees that reoccur, or like taxes for that state that you kind of have to consider with being a homeowner in
every town has a different taxes rate, so you have to look out for that. Someone asked a question about that here. I don't know where, but they were asking how much taxes do I pay in a year, and if it's I'm gonna find that question. I don't know. Oh, right here. They said, please tell me, in regards to maintenance, what percentage of rental income do you believe is appropriate to allocate? Also, can you speak about property tax in your area and if you feel is an appropriate rate at that percentage? So for the first part, I put 150, 250 every month.
And so you set that aside.
Yeah, I said that. I just leave, because anything remaining from the rent, I just put it there. I don't touch that money. I just leave it there in the account. Anything that comes up, I just pay it from there. But it's recommended to put 150 to 200 to 150 every time, because it all depends. Something can break, tenant can leave, like all kinds of stuff can happen. Your tax can go up. You want to have that there. And for the property tax, I pay close to 12,000 a year for taxes, which for a 2-family home in my area is the average. Is pretty good. I looked at houses that had like 15,000, 18,000, which is a lot. So it all depends on the area and it all depends on the house.
And then like you can do your own research and figure out the taxes, the average taxes.
The average taxes, yes, but you also in Trulia you can kind of like look. Also the MLS, you can find that out.
The mortgage listing system, is that what it is?
Oh,
I think
yes,
so.
yes, yes, yes.
The mortgage listing system, MLS. So I
Yes,
think
yes,
that tells you
yes.
everything that's on the market
Yes.
and the neighborhood you're looking for.
Yes.
Perfect.
And also New Jersey taxes, property taxes are higher than New York taxes. So if you are wanting to buy in New York, those are low taxes.
Guys, I think it's worth mentioning that it is 7 p.m. We are gonna cover a few more questions for about 5 to 10 more minutes. And then we, for about 5 minutes, we'll cover more questions. And then we'll figure out, we'll just close off with like our final tips. And then we have one more question in the chat. Do you pay taxes directly or to your escrow? So I think it's worth mentioning yes or no, and then a little bit about the escrow.
Yeah. My escrow account goes in straight with my mortgage. So I just have to pay my mortgage entirely. Like that goes with my PMI, my taxes, and my loan payment. It goes everything there. I don't have to like divide it. The JP Morgan is the one that has my loan. So they pay everything. I just have to make sure that I send the whole payment every month. So they make sure that that's paid.
Oh, that's good.
Nice.
Less things for me to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and then we covered things like key things to consider when you're looking for a home. But I think two really interesting questions. Another one from T-Lyn, but then another one from Sherry. She is a class 24 year of New York, about to be alumni. They're graduating soon, so that's great. Hopefully she was able to tune in. But her question was the difference between the different mortgage options you had, possibly from Chase. I know the two major that we know about is like a 30-year and a 15-year mortgage.
Yes.
And her question specifically was, which one do you recommend? But I guess maybe we all have our own recommendations and what we think is great for us. But I think maybe
I have a really strong
you have a
recommendation.
really strong recommendation
About that. It's always best to take the 30-year, because if you can, well, the 15 years have higher monthly mortgage payments. That's one.
to do it quickly.
Yes. And if you choose the 30, you're going to have lower interest rates. And also, if you can pay by 15 years, then pay it. So nobody's gonna stop you.
Yeah.
But if you choose the 15 years, if you don't pay whatever they are going, the monthly, you're gonna lose your house. So it's always best to choose a 30-year. Also, there is a different types of loans that you can get, and I meant to take notes on this. Is the conventional loan and the FHA loan. There's two types. I have the conventional loan, but for the conventional loan, most banks only accept 20% down for the conventional loan. There's
mean no more or no less?
No, you can put more. It has
you
to be
can't put
more
less.
than 20.
Okay.
But if you choose the FHA loan, which is like, it's like government kind of like help to those people that don't have the whole, you only have to put 3.5% down payment. And that cannot be on a 2-family home, I think.
But I think it's like when you said that to me, at least, just to touch on it briefly, it sounds like, oh wow, 20% versus 3.5. Of course, I'm going with the 3.5 option.
Of course.
But I think it's but you yourself, you went the other route.
But let me tell you this: I went conventional because of Claudia. She told me she has this program that I can only put 5% on a 2-family home for a conventional loan if I qualify. And the only thing I have to do was take a course online that took like 1 hour, but it was worth it.
So it's yeah.
But the difference between the FHA loan and the conventional loan is that the FHA loan has a lifelong PMI. So you have to pay mortgage insurance for the 30 years. Yeah. The conventional loan, you only pay PMI until you pay the 20% down, and then it drops.
Which was 5% for you?
No. So the PMI is the mortgage insurance. it's a fee, extra fee when you don't have the 20%. So since I've only put 5%, I have to pay PMI every month. It's like $150 additional in my mortgage. So after when I pay 20% of my whole loan payment, my whole loan,
True.
the PMI drops, and I no longer have to pay that $150.
Right.
But the PMI is kind of just the price you pay for such a discount.
Yes. So it's kind of like to ensure it's like the insurance to the bank that you are going to pay the whole.
And then I guess to Sherry's other point, I believe, let me just double check. This was to Sherry and T-Lynn's point, but I guess I think you spoke about this earlier. I think we talked about you wanted an apartment as opposed to a home, but I guess how do you assess that? I guess some quick, just some quick factors on how you decide if you want a condo or a home.
Okay, quick factors is because a condo, it was just like a condo. I couldn't live there and make money out of it at the same time. A house, I didn't want a single family home because the same reason. I couldn't rent it, and I kind of like had my plan already. One day I want to have a one family home, of course, but I'm not gonna have my one family home until my homes can pay for my one family home.
Right.
Because I don't want to work at one point.
And so I think that's good. I think it's like really to assess it's what your goals are.
Yes.
And like you spoke to earlier, real estate is so wide. So what part of real estate do you want to get into?
Also, when buying a house, you don't want to buy a house to be drawn in debt. Like you don't want to be a slave of your mortgage payment. So you have to be mindful of that. That was one of my major concerns when going for a house. I said, if I go for a one family home, yes, I'm gonna have a beautiful home, but you know what? I'm gonna be working forever because I have to pay more. If I don't pay, then I lose my house and I'm in the street. So that's why I decided to go for a two family, go for the business itself, and make money out of mine. And that's called house hack. Some people want to invest in real estate and they don't know how to start. Start by house hacking. Buy a house, live in the house,
And
rent
have people
it.
pay your mortgage.
Have people pay your mortgage, live for free, start saving again, buy
Live
another
again,
house, and so on.
Move on,
Someone ask a question.
I think that will be our last question for this evening, and then we'll go into some final tips.
Okay, so how much does it cost to reappreciate the home once you think you'll reach 20 down? Honestly, I don't know because I'm not there yet. One day I will see, but I'll start by going to a bank and getting all that information. Once I'm at 20%, I don't know, to reappreciate the house. I think I don't know how many more costs is involved in that. I don't know yet.
It's definitely at least the cost of when you got it appraised the first time.
Yeah.
But there might be additional
Exactly, since
it's like
this is a business. Everybody wants money. So there's probably a million other fees involved.
So if you had to leave us with, I guess, 3 major takeaways, and I guess maybe from each portion of your home buying journey. Sorry for you.
No, I'm fine.
What would those be?
Well, the first one is if you want to go for buying a house, start a preparation plan. Like start saving, analyze your own financial situation at the moment. If you have a lot of debts, try to pay those debts. If you have a lot of bills, try to cut bills that are not necessary. Start saving. Work on that put out a time and dedicate to your financial situation, kind of working on it to get ready for that. Okay. And then when you're ready, decide what kind of home you want to buy. If you want to buy to just have a house, that's fine. Someone asked a question about why buying a house is important. Well, you have your own house. Nobody's going to kick you out of your house like they do nowadays of apartments. So having your own thing, your own house, your own place is always good. in my opinion. Other people have other opinions. You know, that's that. Decide if you want to do rental, if you want to do that. Decide which one you want to go for and focus just on that. And third one, it will be educate yourself. Like, find out facts, read. Read the book that I recommended. It's really good. Any type of business that you want to get into, educate yourself, get full of information. I'm here if you guys want to any
Follow-ups.
any questions that you guys have,
Yeah.
you can come to me. I'm telling you, I became like, I was on Zillow like I am on social media today, like on it, like I need to know everything that's going on. Like, I became very informed of what was going on. So,
Well, we want to thank you so much for your time
You're
this
welcome.
evening. This is very informative, very immersive, and it made it seem very possible. Thank you so much, everyone who tuned in. We're so grateful for the participation, and we're looking forward to maybe even follow-ups, maybe when it is that time to move on to your second property.
If you should put Claudia's information in your email.
We'll recap, and then any like major key points, and then contact information, yours, and then your mortgage specialist, we can leave in the description of the video.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll be circulating it to all of the YUNY Alumni via an email. So we really do look forward to that. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night from Europe. Bye.
Thank you.